Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Aging Parent Playbook. I'm Dr. Barbara Sparacino, triple board certified adult geriatric and addiction psychiatrist, and your aging parent coach. Today's episode is a short but important one because I want to invite you to a free live training I'm hosting called the Aging Parent Safety Net: How to Protect Your Parent's Future Before a Crisis Hits. And before I tell you what's inside, I want to start with a question that might make your stomach drop a little bit, because it's the question I hear families ask themselves after something happens. If your parent had a fall, stroke, or medical emergency tomorrow, would you know what to do? Not would you show up? I know you'd show up. I mean, would you know what to do legally, practically, emotionally? Because here's the hard truth: most adult children don't realize what's missing until they're already in crisis. So why does crises feel so chaotic? When something happens, an ER visit, a sudden hospitalization, confusion, a fall, it's not just a medical event that's stressful. It's everything that comes at once. You might need information you don't have. You need access you don't legally have access to. You need decisions you're not prepared to make. You need family cooperation that may not exist. And you're trying to do it all while still being a parent, a spouse, employee, human. And here's what I've seen over and over again in my work. Most families don't struggle because they don't care. They struggle because they don't have a system. They're running an emergency with no playbook. So they end up doing what all humans do under stress. They panic, they argue, they guess, and they default to the loudest voice, or they freeze. And then afterward, they say the sentence I hear all the time: I wish we had talked about this sooner. This training is designed so you don't have to say that. And so here are the 5 crises that show up the most. Let me paint a few very real, very common scenes. As you listen, notice if any of these feel familiar or feel like they could become familiar quickly. Okay, scene 1. You're in the hospital and the staff is kind but firm. I'm sorry, we can't share that information with you. Not because they're mean, but because you're not legally authorized. Scene 2. You're trying to refill medication, access the portal, coordinate care, and you realize you don't have the account info, the insurance details, or the permissions you need. So now everything becomes 10 times harder than it should be. Scene 3. A financial issue pops up. Late charges, weird changes, and you're trying to understand money changes you don't fully understand. Scene 4. Your parent is fine, but there's red flags you're seeing. Some memory issues, some slips, some falls. You're unsure what's normal aging, what's not, and what you should be planning for right now. Scene 5. Family dynamics show up like an uninvited guest. Siblings disagree, the group chat becomes a battlefield, and somehow you're still the one managing everything. Look, these are not rare situations. They're the stuff of everyday life for adult children of aging parents. And if you've experienced one of these, or you fear you might, then this training is for you. So, what is the Aging Parent Safety Net, actually? Let's talk about what this webinar is not, okay? It's not a lecture filled with vague inspiration, right? It's not a just stay positive talk. And it's not a legal seminar where you leave more confused than when you came. The Aging Parent Safety Net is a practical training designed to help you build a plan before you're forced into a plan, right? It's the foundation, the key moves that protect your parent and protect your peace of mind. So here's what you'll learn. It's a little bit of a quick overview, right? This is what we're covering in the live training. 1, what must be legally and financially in place before anything goes wrong? Because look, once there's a crisis, you can't retroactively create decision-making authority. We'll talk about the essentials that prevent the most common nightmare scenarios: being able to help, accounts being frozen, family disputes about who can do what, and confusion around documents that may exist but are unusable. 2, how to clarify who's responsible for what. Because many of you aren't just caregiving, you're carrying the mental load of the entire family system. This is where we create a plan that stops you from becoming the default everything, right? 3, how to assess what kind of help your parent actually needs now and later, right? Not just do they need help, but what kind and how to tell. We'll talk about common red flags, how to track changes, and what to plan before it becomes urgent. And 4, what needs to be decided before you're in a hospital waiting room. This is a big one. The worst time to decide is when you're exhausted, scared, and pressured. We'll cover what decisions you should make proactively so you're not guessing about wishes, care preferences, or next step. And 5, how to create a plan that supports your parent and your sanity. Because if you burn out, look, the whole thing unravels. I'll show you how boundaries and structure protect everyone, including and most importantly, your relationship with your parent. And let me be honest. I'm teaching this because I've watched too many families suffer unnecessarily. I've watched adult children show up with love and good intentions and still end up overwhelmed because they didn't have a safety net. I've watched families fight, not because they're bad people, but because nobody had clarity. When you have a plan, you get to be steady. When you don't, you end up in survival mode. And this is not about controlling your parent. It's about protecting their autonomy and protecting your family from preventable chaos. Look, this training is for you if you have an aging parent and you feel that quiet or not so quiet anxiety in the background. If you're seeing changes and you don't know what to do with them. If you're the one who handles things and you're tired. If you want to be proactive, not reactive. And you want a clear plan without feeling guilty or dramatic. So here's what I want you to do next. Register for the free live training, the Aging Parent Safety Net. It's live, it's practical, and it will change the way you approach caregiving conversations, decisions, and emergencies. And here's my promise to you. You will leave with a clear understanding of what matters most and what to do first. Because preparedness isn't pessimism. Preparedness is love with a backbone. If you know someone who needs this, you probably do, please share it with them. Text it to a sibling, send it to a friend, forward it to the person who's always putting out fires. You deserve support, and your parent deserves a plan. All right, friends. Thank you for listening to the Aging Parent Playbook. I'm Dr. Barbara Sparacino, and I'll see you at the live training. Remember, until next time, take a breath and take the next right step. You don't have to do this alone.